He almost turned around when he saw the wheelchair. The restaurant lights shimmered against the glass walls, the city glowing like a promise outside, but Daniel's heart dropped to his shoes. This wasn't what he had expected from a blind date arranged by his sister. And across the room, Victoria Hale, billionaire CEO, media headline, and a woman who hadn't truly smiled in 2 years, watched the single father freeze at the entrance and prepared herself for the familiar sting of pity. That night was supposed to confirm what she already believed, that love was a chapter permanently closed. But sometimes, the worst beginnings carry the most unexpected miracles. Before we go further, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet power of compassion, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Brightly Kindness. Your support spreads stories that remind the world there is still light in it. Victoria hadn't always measured her life in losses. At 38, she had built a tech empire from a cramped apartment and turned it into a global brand worth billions. Her face had appeared on magazine covers, her speeches echoed in conference halls, and her calendar once overflowed with meetings and invitations. Then, 2 winters ago, a late-night drive on a rain-slick highway changed everything. The accident left her paralyzed from the waist down. The board tried to be supportive, investors whispered doubts, and the world that once admired her resilience suddenly reduced her to a tragedy. The hardest part wasn't the wheelchair. It was the silence that followed. Friends stopped calling as often. Dates disappeared entirely. Men who once competed for her attention now spoke to her as if she were fragile glass. Eventually, she stopped trying. She poured her energy into work, burying loneliness under spreadsheets and strategy meetings, convincing herself she didn't need what she had lost. Daniel's life had unraveled differently. At 34, he wasn't a CEO. He was a mechanic who smelled faintly of engine oil no matter how hard he scrubbed. His wife had passed away from a sudden illness 3 years earlier, leaving him to raise their 6-year-old daughter, Lily, alone. Grief had taught him how to pack school lunches with trembling hands and how to braid messy ponytails after watching online tutorials late at night. He had mastered bedtime stories even when exhaustion blurred the words. Love, for him, wasn't glamorous. It was small sacrifices stitched into every day. When his sister insisted he try a blind date, he resisted. He didn't think anyone would want a widowed father whose life revolved around homework and hospital bills from the past. But eventually, he agreed, more out of curiosity than hope. The moment he saw Victoria sitting upright in her wheelchair, elegance wrapped around her like a shield, Daniel's mind raced, not with judgment but with fear. He feared saying the wrong thing. He feared starring. He feared that his simple life would look embarrassingly small next to her towering success. Victoria, meanwhile, read his hesitation as confirmation of her worst insecurity. She straightened her blazer, lifted her chin, and prepared for polite small talk followed by a graceful exit. But Daniel did something unexpected. Instead of offering pity, he smiled, nervously, yes, but sincerely. He walked toward her as though nothing about her chair intimidated him. He introduced himself with warmth that felt unpolished and real. Throughout dinner, he didn't avoid the wheelchair, nor did he make it the center of conversation. He spoke about Lily's obsession with drawing rainbows, about the way she believed her mom painted them in the sky. He admitted he sometimes felt like he was failing at both parenting and life, but kept trying anyway. There was no performance in him, no careful corporate charm. Victoria found herself listening not as a CEO evaluating a pitch, but as a woman rediscovering the sound of honesty. Still, the evening teetered on fragile ground. When a waiter awkwardly asked if she needed help cutting her food, Victoria felt the old humiliation rise in her throat. She braced for Daniel to look away, to grow uncomfortable. Instead, he calmly redirected the conversation, making a light-hearted joke about how he once burned spaghetti so badly even the smoke alarm gave up on him. The tension dissolved. For the first time in years, Victoria laughed, a real laugh that startled even her. It felt foreign, like a muscle she hadn't used in ages. Yet doubt crept back as the night deepened. Victoria wondered if he knew who she was beyond this table, If he discovered her wealth, would it change his gaze? Daniel, on the other hand, worried that her world of boardrooms and private jets had no room for greasy overalls and a child who still needed bedtime kisses. The blind date felt less like a romantic gamble and more like two broken stories colliding. When Daniel eventually learned about her company, not through her boasting, but from a passing comment by another diner who recognized her, he didn't react with awe. He reacted with curiosity. He asked about her dreams before the accident, about what still excited her when she woke up in the morning. Victoria hesitated before admitting that she missed mentoring young women in tech, that she had withdrawn from public speaking because she couldn't bear the sympathetic stares. Daniel listened carefully, then told her about Lily's school, about how the computers in the community center barely worked. He wondered aloud what it would mean for kids like his daughter to see someone like Victoria speak, not as a victim, but as a survivor.